Good afternoon, Divisions 1 and 2. This is French Lesson 2. Just a reminder about Lesson 1, you had a list of regular RE verbs to conjugate. You don't need to do them all at once. I expect you to do 2 a week, just as if it was regular Tuesday afternoon classes. You would come in and you would conjugate 2 of your regular IR or ER verbs. Now we're doing 2 of your regular RE verbs. So at the end of the unit, around June, you guys will show me all those, your list. If you're concerned about not doing them correctly or needing some feedback, you can send me a couple as you do them and I can look them over. I've already done that for a few of you. That way, in case you're making mistakes, I can guide you in the right direction. So that's just a reminder. So lesson 2, we are starting to learn how to write in the past tense. All these verbs that you've been doing up to now have been present tense, meaning they're happening right now. So if you want to write about something that you did yesterday or the day before, anything in the past, the verbs change. They're not the same. So if you think about English, I am speaking into my computer. That's happening right now. Yesterday, I spoke into my computer. See how the verbs were different? Today I'm speaking, yesterday I spoke. Well, it's exactly the same in French. It's going to be different. So the form of past tense we're going to be using is called passé composé. Don't need to write that down because I need to give you a bit of review from before we start this. The passé composé is a little bit more complicated because there's 3 parts to it, whereas in the present tense there was 2. Remember, with your present tense verbs, you had the pronoun je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle, then the conjugated form of the verb. So if we were doing the RE verb rendre, which means to give back or to hand in, say je rends, tu rends, nous rendons, vous rendez. So there's 2 parts, the pronoun, the person who's doing the action, then the action word. Passé composé, there's 3 parts. There's the personal pronoun, then there's something called the auxiliary, and then there's the past participle. Not as hard as it sounds because the auxiliary, the word in the middle, is actually just the verb avoir or the verb être, which you learned in grade 6 and 7. But just to make sure, we're going to review avoir and être today. You're going to get to practice them a little bit, and then we'll start our passé composé, our writing in the past tense, next week. So in order to do passé composé properly, it is very important that you've mastered the verb avoir, which means to have, and the verb être, which means to be. So get ready to pause your screen so you can take some notes. Here's the verb avoir, again, for those of you that might have forgotten. So pause the screen and write that down. Avoir means to have. Here's your pronunciations. J'ai, tu as, il a, elle a. Those are the singulars, one person. Nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. Notice that tu as and il a sound the same, even though they're spelled differently. One has an S, the other one doesn't. So that's avoir, and of course there's your translations there. Really important that you master that before you go on to learning how to conjugate the passé composé. It just can't be done without having mastered those. So the next one that you need to master is être, which means to be. So get ready to pause your screen. This is the conjugation of être, which means to be. So pronunciations of these. Être. Je suis. Tu es. Il est. Elle est. Nous sommes. Notice how you don't hear that S at the end? Vous êtes. Ils sont. Elles sont. Notice how il and elle est sound the same as tu es, even though they're spelled differently. So again, take those down in your notes. And many of you would have seen those before. Many of you are probably going, oh yeah, I remember that. Some of you might be going, whoa. If you're one of those people that's going, whoa, just take the notes. Maybe make yourself some flashcards, but you got to learn these. All right, for assignment number 2, it's just going to have to do with practicing verb avoir and verb être. Again, get ready to pause your screen so you can write this down. Assignment number 2. You're going to create full sentences for avoir and être. For avoir, you're going to attach a noun. To make it a full sentence, for être, you're going to attach an adjective to make it a full sentence. Alrighty, so I'm going to give you a couple of examples as usual. So again, pause your screen and write these down. All right, so my first example was tu as un ordinateur. So I chose second person singular, tu as un ordinateur. An ordinateur is a computer, so it's a noun, person, place, or thing. For verb avoir, something that you're going to have, it's usually going to be an object. You could have a feeling for sure. You could have a feeling or emotion. Stick with an object for now. Now, if you guys don't have your vocabulary lists that we've been doing since September because they're still at the school, you can go from memory. I would encourage you to try to do that. If not, you can use a French-English dictionary. If you have a paper copy, that's best. But if you don't, you can use an online translator. Remember, one word only. Don't put the full sentences in there. It gets complicated. And I can't stress that enough. One word only. So think about what object you want each person on the list to have. Translate the one object only, nothing else. My second example for être, elles sont intelligentes. I'm going to get you to think about why I chose elles as opposed to any of the other personal pronouns for this one. It's because, what are you? You're going to give yourself a quality or your friend a quality, which means you're going to be adding an adjective. I chose intelligent, intelligent, which translates to intelligent or smart. Now, you probably remember from our adjectives that we did right around Valentine's Day before spring break and the whole COVID-19 started. Adjectives in French have something called an agreement. We say un accord en français. So depending on whether it's a single person that you're qualifying or a group of people, you may or may not write an S at the end of the adjective. Depending on whether or not the person is a girl or a woman, or a man or a boy, you might add an E at the end. Do you remember which one it is? Take a look at this again. Elles sont intelligentes. I added two agreements there, an E and an S. E, because elles is a group of girls. S, because there's more than one. So if you look in your list, how many agreements can you possibly have? All the plurals, nous, vous, il, elle, will have an S at the end of their adjective. The feminine ones will have an ES, so elle, obviously. If you know that vous, like you're talking to a group of people saying, you are all so smart. If you know that vous, that group of people is a group of girls or women, you can also put the ES, but most of the time you won't know that. In the singular column, if you're a boy, there's nothing you got to worry about other than if you're talking about another girl. With the elle singular, you're going to need to put an E at the end. No S's are needed there. If you're a girl and you're writing the je, meaning I am intelligent, I am smart. Je suis intelligente with an E at the end. So this is a bit of a review from what you guys have done with your adjectives and adding an agreement to your adjectives, just like we did around February, Valentine's Day. And a review of your avoir and etre. I can't stress it enough. These two guys here, you just got to memorize them. So if you haven't done that yet, that's your job for this week. And assignment number 2, take all 8 of the avoir and all 8 of the etre and make a full sentence. You make a full sentence by attaching a noun to the end of the avoir. I have something. You have something. He has something. Of course, you're going to be doing this in French. And then your être, you're going to make complete sentences by adding an adjective. Je suis intelligente. Tu es magnifique. One thing that some of you guys have been doing since the beginning of the year when I was giving these out, some people like to use the same noun for them all or the same adjective for them all. Don't do that. Challenge yourselves. Go for 8 different nouns, 8 different adjectives. All right, that's your French lesson for this week. Let me know if you have any questions.